I'm gonna ask you a question. When did you stop watching Riverdale? Season 1, maybe Season 3, or maybe you got all the way to Season 6 but left before the ending. Your answer really does define what you think of when I even say Riverdale. At one point, it was an edgy teen murder mystery adaptation of a silly comic book, but at another point, it's an X-Men style cult harvesting magic multiversal war between heaven, hell, and Riverdale. And then sometimes, it's just Archie without his shirt. Actually, that's probably the only connecting thread throughout all of Riverdale, Archie being shredded. Most people will simply say, I stopped watching when the show got weird. Well, what if I told you that didn't matter? The show and all of Archie Comics were always weird. From a Bollywood movie to a gritty zombie apocalypse comic, Archie as a franchise and all its adaptations are weird and also have a deep secret connection to another franchise that many of you may know. I believe I've cracked an 80-year secret along with the answer to the single most important question one can have. Why is Riverdale such a weird adaptation? Don't believe me? Let me show you. Cue the intro. See, one of the most common type of theories are the ones that connect to different franchises, and then base their theory off that. I myself have done it with Marvel, and well, people didn't seem to love it. I think where I went wrong is A, making a video that had any form of power scaling in it because dear god that was a mistake, but B, not really using the best evidence for why. The real reason I connected Marvel to Word Curl in that video was because it's silly and helped my pseudo theory video essay. This video is a little different because Archie Comics straight up crosses over with Marvel. Don't believe me? Let me show you. I need to put that on a t-shirt or something. One thing I was very surprised about when talking to people about making this video was how many people didn't know Archie Comics and Riverdale were even connected. Riverdale, in terms of the CW show, is in fact based on Archie Comics, set in the town of Riverdale. Archie Comics have been around for like 80 years, so the idea of a crossover with Marvel isn't that bizarre. Marvel and DC cross over random things all the time back in the day, from Popeye to Word Girl. There are also plenty of comics with Marvel just stamping its logo on the front for marketing. So why is this any different? Well, it's complicated. The comic in question is called Archie Meets the Punisher, and it's very weird. The original concept of the comic was for Archie's parents to be killed and him to seek out the Punisher to enact his revenge. Now, after watching Riverdale, that just seems like your average episode, but for Archie Comics, that's a little strange, so they went for a tamer idea. The Punisher is hunting a dangerous criminal who he mistakes for Archie and starts pursuing him. Unknown to him, though, the actual criminal kidnaps Veronica, Archie's girlfriend, and now the Punisher and Archie must team up and save the day. Now, comparing it to the dead parent storyline, it's actually fairly normal, but it's still strange for Archie Comics, right? Well, actually, not really. See, let's put a pin in the Marvel stuff and talk about the origin of Archie Comics themselves, as that will help us better understand, well, all of this. Archie is weird. The story of Archie as a company, as a comic line, and a character is equally as strange as CW's Riverdale, from a toxic workplace culture, a secret gay play whose writer somehow snuck his way into writing Riverdale itself to a literal CEO yelling penis in the boardrooms. This is one of the weirdest stories I've covered on this channel. Let me explain. Archie actually started out not as Archie, but as MLJ magazines, beginning in the boom of the Man of Steel and trying to capitalize on the era of superheroes. 3 titles under them being Top Notch Comics, Blue Ribbon Comics, and Pep Comics. This is where the superhero, the Shield, was introduced. Think Captain America, except it came before him even using the iconic shield. So I guess in a way, this comic trying to capitalize on the success of Superman ended up being used as the base for one of the most popular superheroes ever. Pretty cool. See, the company wanted the Shield to be their big guy, competing with the likes of Superman. That's why on every single cover of the Pep Comics, he was there. But that's not exactly how it ended up, as another character with a set of red hair seemed to overshine him. Archie Andrews and his friends as an idea were trying to dominate on the concept of a non-super relatable character, especially with who was reading comics, kids. Kinda reminds me when Stan Lee decided to make a teenage superhero, aka Spider-Man, and let's just say they both ended up working out. As Archie grew in popularity, so did he. He in the beginning was in the cover covers of the Shield comics, but as time went on, he became a duo in size. It's like putting a random teenager right next to Superman, at least a wannabe. Then he got bigger. The Shield would lift him up, putting him high and mighty, and as he shrunk, only Archie grew. This went on until Pep Comics issue 51, where Archie took over the comic completely. And then MLJ Magazines became Archie Comics. And from then on, Archie Andrews was submitted in the very name of his company, and he would never die. Well, that was a lot, and let me remind you, that's just how MLJ Magazines began and how Archie took over. There's still a mountain more to what Archie is, and how he's in the Marvel Universe. Can't forget that. Now that you also understand how Archie has a little experience in the superhero world, starting beside one, and maybe, as we go on, we'll see him become one himself. Let me explain. But first, a word from our sponsor, me. Are you tired of waiting weeks for Noah's videos? Do you find yourself yearning for more content, early access, and more unnecessary features that make you feel superior to the average viewer? Well, do I have the deal for you. Introducing Noah Bolter's Patreon. For the low price of $5, less than the cost of McDonald's burger on the dollar menu, you can unlock all of that and more. Like early access to Noah's amazing, thought-provoking videos. But wait, there's more. Not only do you get to see the videos before the filthy peasants, you also gain exclusive bonus content. That's right, bonus content, deleted footage, weird tangents. These bonus videos aren't just silly bloopers though, they're full extra content. But wait, there's more. I'll throw something to sweeten the deal, your name in the credits. That's right, immortality just for $5. This guy bought a $5 membership and he just can't stop dancing. And this guy also bought a $5 membership and well, he has a lot to say. Take it away, Daniel. So, my name's actually Chris, and well, I bought the $5 membership, and let me tell you, it was horrible. Hated it, couldn't find any benefit. It just really wasn't worth the hype, really. All it gave me was exclusive bonus videos, and like, something called like early access. You know, complete rubbish, and on top of that, it put my name in the credits. Like, complete garbage if you ask. And that's enough of that. That was horrible. Speaking of horrible, it would be horrible if you didn't become a member to Noah Bolter's Patreon. So go do yourself a favor. Now, I'm watching you go do it. Click the button. Now. Hey, either you skipped that amazing ad that took me many days to film, if so, I'm not mad, just disappointed, or you watched it all the way through and of course are a member of my amazing Patreon, because how could you not be? Either way, we have a lot more to talk about, beginning with the complicated history of Archie Comics as a company. As I said before, the company behind Archie Comics has a shaky history, and the comics themselves were booming, outselling even the ones they originally were trying to be. The formula worked, so it stayed and didn't change for decades. But that made things get a little stale, and slowly but surely, Archie fell off his pedestal. But the people behind the company, now the sons of the original creators, didn't want to change a thing, because in their eyes, it would ruin their father's legacies. But that principle ended up being the thing that almost killed Riverdale. Thankfully, it didn't. If we did, we would lose the great cinema of Archie fighting a bear. The image of being a safe, family-friendly company that made the same silly Archie comics was now at stake as Archie got older and more people tried to write in it. For example, a little play was made called Archie's Weird Fantasy, which had Archie coming out as gay. Now, obviously at the time, this did not go well with the Archie company, who swiftly assassinated its creator. I'm just kidding. He ended up writing Riverdale. I'm not joking. We'll get to that. Archie Comics was looking like it was completely dead, sales dropping, and it being seen as a piece of lost media, outdated and for the past. Then, the elders both died. Well, that was convenient. Now, two new players came in to lead the company. One named Nancy. She's the wife of one of the former owner's sons who just died. The other one was John, the other owner's son's half-brother. Wow, this is already getting complicated. These two were very underqualified. Nancy was an elementary school teacher, and John worked in music management. fisherman. These two did not like each other. Nancy wanted to keep the family-friendly brand, aiming towards children, being a school teacher. John, well, he did not. See, John saw what in the end was true. Archie was dead. It was no longer what it was and did not have the readers it once had, and he was gonna change that. John was able to begin his changes by adding new characters and comic lines with more mature stories. Some of these stories were eventually adapted into CW's Riverdale, so you know they were good. Do you hear the sarcasm in my voice? It's very much there. These changes didn't exactly go well with Nancy. She claimed that while John was conspiring to push her out of the company just because he didn't like her, which even if true, we'll quickly learn there are many reasons not to like Nancy. For starters, Nancy apparently liked to fire people solely off appearance, age, and weight. She also would bring her dog in and would let her poop anywhere in the office. Lovely. There were also many other alleged toxic behavior, from having people spy on the employees in their private time to hiring professional football players to intimidate employees before she fired them. It really did seem like Nancy was trying to kill the company. From her plans for Archie Comics to her behavior in the office, she wasn't exactly great for the company. This behavior led to her basically becoming powerless in their company, with no one taking her seriously. The best example of this is her being, well, her, and walking into a meeting and yelling penis, penis, penis over and over. This woman is 62 years old. Whether her actual weird incidents in the office were real or not, we know she didn't exactly get what she wanted, with John's vision for Archie becoming reality. From a full bloody zombie apocalypse comic with Archie that was a critical success to Archie crossing over the Predator, the horror franchise, John got what he wanted. This is the basic history of Archie Comics, and it's really weird. When I researched Archie, I had no idea the actual comics, let alone the company, had such a weird history to the point it rivals Riverdale. Well, maybe not Archie fighting a bear. That's still hard to beat. So, how does this have any connection to Marvel, you may ask? Well, it helps you understand Archie's complicated history and how it slowly became weirder and weirder to the point a Marvel crossover isn't that strange. You know what is strange? Well, at first you would assume this Marvel crossover wouldn't be canon, but if you look in the official guide to the Marvel Universe, you'll find a page saying the comic titled Archie Meets the Punisher is in the official 616 universe. Oh my god. They made it canon. Okay, so what does that actually mean? Well, it means that Archie Comics is officially in the Marvel Multiverse. Now, it does not mean that CW's Riverdale is in the MCU, as the MCU is actually its own universe. Confusing, I know, but we can safely say Riverdale is most likely in some random universe in the infinite multiverse, being a darker version of our Archie characters. Now, of course, we could extend this knowledge of the comics being in the 616 universe by trying to argue that Predator, for example, is officially canon to Marvel, but I don't have time for that. No, because this video is trying to do something entirely different and 10 times weirder. But to get there, we must first cover more connections between Marvel and Riverdale, starting at season 6, episode 6. See, the thing that makes Riverdale special is its insane dedication to not crossing over into the supernatural, but putting the characters in situations that can only be explained through the supernatural. Take the plotline of season 2 of Riverdale, where an evil gargoyle roams the town and starts a cult in Riverdale based on a D&D-like board game. See, the big finale to this arc is the gargoyle being a serial killer in a mask. Riverdale really liked its serial killers. Riverdale very much reminds me of Scooby-Doo in a way, especially shows like Mystery Incorporated, where it very much tests the line of what can just be a man in a mask. This all changes in Riverdale season 6. The first 5 episodes are in an altered dimension called Rivervale, where all these supernatural things in Riverdale are real. The 5-episode arc ends with the universes almost colliding, but a version of Jughead saving them by basically becoming the writer of Archie Comics and making it so these two universes don't collide. Wait, this kinda reminds me of something. Oh my god. See, universes colliding in Marvel is actually a pretty well-known thing, from comics to Spider-Verse to mainline MCU movies. Whether you call it an incursion or the canon breaking, there are natural events in the MCU where universes just collide. But I actually have a little theory on why I think the universes in Riverdale are colliding. Archie. See, the end of season 5 has Archie and Betty in bed getting it on, but then tick tick tick, a bomb explodes. You would assume that would, well, kill him. Going over to the alternate universe, Archie dies there too, through a ritual sacrifice though, by all the main characters killing him. Yeah, Riverdale is still very weird. So Archie dies in both universes, then each universe began to fall apart. Kinda reminds me of the entire point of Deadpool and Wolverine with Anchor Being. Stay with me, as this is not my main theory, just another addition to the many Marvel connections I can find. Anchor Beings are basically a character in the universe that tie it together. Removing them, well, it all falls apart. Whether this is a good idea Deadpool introduced is irrelevant, because, well, they made it a thing. So, could Archie be an Anchor Being? Well, I would think so. Archie is literally the name of the company behind Riverdale. It's the whole reason they made it this far, and is the main character of the show. So I would pretty much say he fits the role of an Anchor Being. So now we can add Archie possibly being an Anchor Being, or at least for his Riverdale universe, to the list. We can also add that an incursion was possibly the cause of the universes colliding in the 5-episode special. That's 2 more Marvel connections that can change what you think of when I say Riverdale. There's actually a few more mainly being found in season 6, episode 6. See, this is the point where after the 5-episode special, Riverdale just completely goes insane, starting off with Archie and Betty in the bed with a bomb, except somehow they survive. The house is destroyed, but all the characters in it survive. See, I won't exactly be recapping all of the seasons episode by episode. Let me know if you want me to do that. Maybe I'll throw it on Patreon. But what you need to know is they came out different. Archie is no longer just shredded. Now everything he touches becomes shredded. I can't read that seriously. I'm sorry. Basically, they all gain some sort of superpower. Archie is super strong and invulnerable. Betty sees the auras of people and mainly uses it to tell who's a serial killer or not, very important in Riverdale, and Jughead goes deaf. Yeah, the explosion from the bomb took out his hearing, but in reward, he got the ability to read minds. When researching this part, I already found it funny how Riverdale completely dropped the masked villain and its not real magic element and just gave them superpowers, but then, as I went further on, I learned something that would completely change everything. See, there's an interview with the creator behind Riverdale. You know, the guy who made the gay play with Archie? Well, he said the initial plan for Jughead was for him to be deaf, and that he finally had to do it 6 seasons later. He also made a note how Jughead took serious inspiration from Daredevil, and now his new story was even more inspired. Well, okay, that's interesting. I started seeing the connections between Jughead and Matt Murdock very quickly. From, of course, the obvious you get a superpower in exchange for one of your senses deal, but also some more details that have been in the show for seasons. From Jughead having many of the same struggles as Daredevil, to both of them being detectives, they were getting more and more similar, but not as much as another character. See, the idea of this video, I was trying to show you how Riverdale is, well, weird in ways you didn't know. Sure, everyone knows the show started out as a teen murder mystery and became, well, something else, but what I'm trying to do is show you it already was incredibly weird and got so much stranger than you thought. Whether it's that there's a secret Marvel storyline being built, to Archie Comics being already really weird, or just Archie being shredded, this is a weird franchise. But it's also a really good one. Not in a conventional sense. Take the Bollywood movie I mentioned earlier. It sucked. It was boring, bland, the acting wasn't good, but there was one saving grace: the aesthetic. This is something Riverdale seems to do really well. Any adaptation or comic of Riverdale, removing the quality of the content, is, well, made it on an artistic level pretty good. Take CW's Riverdale, for example, with its amazing set design and color. Riverdale conveys a place outside of time, with corded telephones and neon lights, but also MacBooks and internet. It makes Riverdale seem unique in all iterations. It also is very smart with how it uses color to make actual really cool symbolism and subtle theming you wouldn't notice, because you're not looking for it. This is one of the weirdest elements of Riverdale: the quality in a place no one cares about. Like when you're on season 4 of Riverdale, you're watching for the cults and the drama, not the artistic lighting choices or intentional set design, but it makes a world of difference, and in my opinion, makes Riverdale so special. There aren't that many shows on air that have 30 episodes a season, all 40 minutes, multiple musicals a season, and still look this good. So I want you to remember this as I continue, as I show you hidden connections and build my theory, and hopefully find the answer to why Riverdale is a weird adaptation, that I love Riverdale and Archie Comics and even Marvel, even if it's pretty rough. Okay, I think I've made you wait long enough. It's finally time to bring you the meat of this theory. Because sure, Riverdale being in the MCU is cool, but Riverdale is also Riverdale, so you know there's gotta be something way stranger to it. And I think I found it. What is it? I think Cheryl Blossom is an alternate universe Scarlet Witch and is destined to destroy Riverdale and all of the multiverse. Let me explain. Okay, so this may seem like a stretch at first, saying that Cheryl is an alternate universe Wanda, or at least Scarlet Witch. Cheryl is just a high schooler with red hair and wears a lot of red. She isn't a witch, doesn't have magic, and last time I checked, isn't planning on destroying the world. This theory seems silly and couldn't possibly be proven. I like a challenge. Okay, easy evidence out of the way. Cheryl wears red. The Scarlet Witch also wears red, kinda in the name. Cheryl even says many times, I am red. Scarlet is a variant of red, so in a way, she's saying she's the Red Witch. Okay, I understand, we're grasping. Just because she has a similar outfit to Wanda doesn't make her an alternate version of her. She's not even a witch. Or is she? You know how I said season 6 of Riverdale was weird? Basically completely dropping the whole veil of being not supernatural. Well, that also kinda applies to Cheryl. For many seasons was weirdly hinted at being a witch, but not really. Well, in season 6, Riverdale finally commits and gave Cheryl literal magic. Let me explain. Cheryl is part of the Blossom family, a very powerful family in Riverdale. This family also has a history of witches and magic, though Cheryl and the existence of magic in general really do feel like a sudden appearance in season 6, but I digress. So Cheryl is a witch. What does that mean? What powers does Cheryl exactly have? Well, at first, it's basic fire-related red magic. Then it goes on to a full control over all the elements, kind of like reality manipulation, which is kind of similar to chaos magic. Okay, so let's say she's an alternate universe Scarlet Witch, because why not? The evidence is there, and in the end, it doesn't really mean anything, right? Well, my theory isn't just that she's just a Scarlet Witch variant, but also is destined to destroy the universe and rule everything. That's a little far-fetched and couldn't be possibly proven, is what I would say until I read Blossom 666. It's an Archie comic in the modern era, and as I've said before, is very weird. The comic is about the two twins, Cheryl and Jason Blossom, except unlike normal Archie comics with high school hijinks or Riverdale with its serial killers, this comic is about the two twins being Satanists and Cheryl possibly being destined to be the Antichrist. Yeah, so what? This comic also has Cheryl wearing the exact same outfit the Scarlet Witch wears, has her being the literal Antichrist and destined to destroy and rule the world. Exactly what the Scarlet Witch is, and mainline Riverdale and many comics have her possess chaos-like magic. Oh my god. Okay, so what does this mean about Riverdale? Does this mean Cheryl is destined to destroy Riverdale? Well, in a way, yes, but in reality, it's a little more complicated. Let me explain. The whole plotline of season 6 is very fun, in my opinion, with a wizard who made a deal with the devil for magical powers and immortality from an alternate Riverdale universe, finding his way into our mainline Riverdale universe and building a ghost train to run through Riverdale and destroy Pop's Diner, which apparently is the embodiment of heaven on earth, and if destroyed, will let evil reign over the earth and bring the end. Yeah, Riverdale is weird. So basically, this plotline climaxes with the gang beating him up. Yeah, just straight up fist fighting him, punch, punch, punch. Yeah, I know. Again, Riverdale is weird. But in the last moments, he escapes to his own universe, but the devil isn't exactly happy with him and decides to take his soul all the way back to hell. But in his last moments, he casts a spell that sends a comet roaring straight for Riverdale and to destroy everything in its path. So, how exactly did they fix this? Well, at the last moment, it all comes down to Cheryl. Her magic alone isn't strong enough, but she has the ability to strip people of their power and does so to become the most powerful being in existence and to destroy the comet. Cheryl, the Scarlet Witch herself, doesn't destroy the universe but saves it. But she doesn't exactly just destroy the comet either. No, she alters all of reality, erasing it completely in a few things from existence. And you know where she takes them? A 1950s sitcom-inspired Riverdale. Case closed. So we did it. We solved Riverdale. It's just a big Marvel movie. But take aside the theory, after doing so much research for this video, from learning about the original comics to watching the series again with a notebook in hand, I see Riverdale differently. And I think I see the answer why Riverdale is so different. Why it's such a weird adaptation. Riverdale is a social commentary on comics. Let me explain. I see Riverdale as a show, and even in its later Archie Comics, as a commentary on what a media franchise or comic IP like Archie Archie is. In Riverdale, Archie starts as a high schooler, but just like the comic with many different issues showing different stranger wacky scenarios, Riverdale has Archie fighting a bear, becoming a bodyguard, being a superhero, but still in the end is somehow still a high schooler. This is something that happens in Archie Comics as well. Well, maybe not the fighting a bear. That's mainly an absurdity only CW could capture. It shows us how simple things can become crazy so quickly. How one little character in a superhero comic line trying to capitalize on the boom of Superman can turn into the name of a comic company with comics published for a century, all about this single group of high schoolers. It can get weird, sure, show or comic, it gets weird, but in the end, it's just a group of high schoolers. And well, I see that in the actual ending of Riverdale. The end of the show is just the gang in the 50s being happy, being high schoolers. Just like the comic all the way back started. No fighting, no bears, or organ harvesting cults, just Archie and friends. And maybe that's what Riverdale is about. When I asked at the very start of the video why the adaptation of Riverdale is so weird and so different, I actually think I know now. It's not. Sure, it's different, but that's what Riverdale and Archie is. It's always different. Sometimes it's a Bollywood movie, sometimes it's a zombie apocalypse comic with blood and gore, other times it's a teen drama murder mystery, or maybe it's an organ harvesting cult. I think the only constant in all of Archie history is Archie. Put him anywhere and anything, he works. Through and through, Riverdale is and has done everything it possibly could with this guy, and in the end, maybe it did exactly as it should, returning him to where he started, drinking milkshakes in the 50s. And for me, that's just darn right perfect. Hey, we actually got a happy ending for a video once. Never mind, the ending of Riverdale is actually an episode where Jughead Ghost takes 80-year-old Betty through time and shows her how everybody dies horribly, and also decides to make the cast a big polythrouple instead of actually deciding on a canon ship. Yeah, Riverdale can suck my balls. I'm done.